So today we are here to discuss about the singleton design pattern. Okay. So design pattern means don't think you have to design something or some uh, kind of system like that. It's a solution. Okay. There are so many kinds of design patterns. It's a solution to generally occurring problems. The a solution, a best practice followed solution to solve a same kind of problem that occurs while designing the software everywhere. Okay, we feel like, don't we feel like we have to implement logger? Logger means our control flow, our program flowed from this method to this method, this control to this. Okay, if we have logger, it becomes easy to debug our program. As JVM maintains a log, a stack, we would like to maintain a logger in the applications that we develop. Okay, so for that, we have to create a logger file. We have to keep logging where the control flow has gone, and the database connections and interacting with database. Every time we have to interact with database from our application. So for means almost all the applications in the world will have these kind of requirements, like logging, database connectivity, or middleware management. Like this, we have so many design patterns. For that instance, we have singleton, we have factory, we have DAO. There are so many. Actually, there are some 50 design patterns which are very important. You have some, I forgot. There is a famous book on design pattern. And one more thing, as developers, we have to keep in mind that apart from learning some programming language and learning some framework like React is a library and Next.js is a framework, and our Angular is a framework, our Spring Boot is a framework. Uh, First step as a developers, we have to learn a programming language, okay, which is good, which is future guaranteed. We have to learn that programming language. Next step is we have to learn some uh, frameworks on that programming language. Just by learning how to use loops, how to write code, how to solve some logical questions will not make you a developer. It may allow you to solve some logical questions, but not a real world problem. For that, you have to learn some frameworks to make it work in real world. For example, if you have learned Java, you have to learn Spring Boot as the framework. If you have learned JavaScript, you have to learn Node.js, Express.js, as Express.js is the framework for JavaScript. Okay, Node is the JavaScript runtime that allows you to run your program on the server side. It's like JVM. Okay, like if you learn Python, you have to learn Python Django or Flask, something like that. Like this is this next step. Okay, if you have learned some of this kind, next thing is, which is very much important, if you are looking for some higher packages, like in very good companies, you have to master DSA. Okay, data structures and algorithms, and next is the design pattern. This should go in parallel. So you have learned Java, now you are perfect. Hopefully, with core Java, you know how to code. Next thing is you have to do some project using that core Java. Then you will learn some framework, and you will learn how to interact with database using in that framework. And then you will learn you have to focus on, after learning these things, you have to focus on learning DSA and some design patterns. Okay, design patterns gives you a ready-made solution. So, okay, this kind of is problem is occurring in my system. If you have already known some design patterns, then you can tell that this problem is solved by this design pattern. Okay, that gives you a power as a developer, more power for a developer. DSA and design patterns are uh, another important two things that you should be aware of and you should be learning throughout your life. You cannot tell that, okay, core Java I completed in 4 months, 5 months, but you cannot tell that I completed DSA in 4 months, 5 months. You might be strong in basics, but you should keep solving the problems on data structures. Then only you will become stronger and stronger in coding. Okay, this is just some inputs that I wanted to give. Today we are here to discuss about Singleton design pattern, which helps you to design some logger. Okay, implement logger to your project that you will be doing in next week on Core Java. Shall we begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll share my screen. And see here, so design pattern is a general repeatable solution to a commonly occurring problem in a software design. Okay, it's a template which is formulated from high level thinkers in the programming domain. So for this problem, for this commonly occurring problem, this is the template of solution. You have to just manipulate that template to fit into your requirement. Okay, it's a template or a guideline that can be applied to solve a particular type of problem in a structured or efficient way with all best practices followed. Okay, so Singleton design pattern is a design pattern which allows you to restrict the creation of objects from a class. Okay, a brief out, a single line definition is that Singleton design pattern is a design pattern which restricts you to create only one instance. That's why it's called as Singleton, one instance of that class, of that design. One instance means one object out of that class. Okay, and you provide the global access for that particular instance when you create it. Okay, that is the so these what is the purpose of this? So it allows you to uh, provide the controlled access, means it restricts the instantiation of class, means it restricts the creation of the objects. Instantiation of a class means creating the object and ensuring that no other instance of the class can be created except one. And who can create the object of this if you restrict like this? Who can create?
Developers.
Yeah, the user of that Singleton class cannot create the object, but the developer or the designer of the Singleton class himself will give the object whenever it is required, and he can also create the object only once. Okay, then it provides the global point of access to that instance, and if one instance is created, it provides that particular instance to be accessible by any other class that is surrounding or that needs to use that instance. It allows you to use that instance, and that will be a single instance. Okay, so how do we implement it? Can anybody tell how are we going to implement, or what is the strategy that we can use to implement Singleton? You know that we have to allow only one object to be created from this class. How can we do that? What should be what can be the strategy?
So we can make the class as final.
Class as final. What is the purpose of making a class as final?
Because no one can inherit that.
Okay. Why should we care about inheritance here when we are like caring about creating the object?
If they inherit it, we can use our method.
Not exactly to the point. Any other strategy that comes to your mind?
Provide a constructor and mark it as a private.
Hmm.
Then develop another method.
Hmm.
And then we can initialize that a static variable
Hmm.
using that in this method.
Hmm.
So then we can create an object.
Correct. Okay. So what is the strategy behind is this? We will not allow the user of the class to create object. How can we achieve that? First thing, we should not allow user to create object. How does that can be achieved? How can we prevent any user of the class to create object of the class? It should be a class. It is not an interface. How can we do that? Hello? There? How can we do that? I should not allow users to create objects. Yep.
We can create a static variable, right? So that it is a single copy.
Yeah, but what is the relation between a static variable and creating object from another class? Now I will just create one more class, test singleton. Okay. Here I will just write singleton yes equal to new singleton off. Can I do this? Can this be done?
Yes, sir.
If I print yes, what will it print?
Class name at hash code.
It will print some class name and hash code something, right? So I'll just run this. You see some singleton object is object reference is printed. So I should not allow this to happen. I should not allow other people to create object out of this singleton. That is the first step in the singleton or achieving the singleton design pattern. How can I restrict that?
By making private.
What? What do you make private?
By making constructor as a private.
Exactly. By making constructor as private. Here we do not have any constructor, so JVM adds, compiler adds the default constructor with empty arguments so that we are able to create the object of this class outside of this class. Okay, but if we make constructor as private, okay, then we can never, what happened? We can never create the object of singleton. Okay, if we now print this, you get an exception that the constructor singleton is not visible, so you cannot create the object. So now we have restricted the creation of object by making the constructor as private. Okay, restricting user to create object. Okay, then, but whenever we need some, what's happening? Whenever we need an object of this class, we have to return that one object itself. Okay, if suppose the user of the class is asking for the object for the first time, then no object is created. So he will create an object and return that object, but the next time whenever he asks subsequently for the object of this singleton class, this singleton class should return the same object that is created. How can we achieve that? For that, what we should have? Hello? Are you all with me? What we should have?
Private static singleton variable.
Yeah, we have to create a static variable, not supposedly, yes, static variable. Yes, we have to create a static variable. It should be private, static, and it should be of type what? What should be the data type of that static variable? Integer, string,
Singleton.
singleton. Same
Object.
class object we have to return. So we have to create the object of singleton itself. What's happening? Why it's behaving really? Private static singleton obj. Okay. So this object itself, it should return every time that an user of this singleton class asks for an object. But how should we return that object? How can we return that object? We have to create one static method so that no objects can be created from outside of this class, but it can be accessed using the class name itself. So we will create a public static singleton get instance method. This will return the singleton object whenever asked for that particular object that needs to be returned. So what is the logic here is, since for the first time when the user is trying to access the object, now then only this get instance should create the object, else it should return the same object that is created. For the first time, when he tries to create, the object value is assigned will be null. So if object is equal to null, then create the object and return it. Okay, return new singleton object. Okay, or just do this, return new singleton object by assigning it to obj. Obj equal to new singleton object and return obj. Or you can just do this return outside here. So this is it. This is the implementation of singleton design pattern. You restrict the creation of object using private constructor, first important point. Next, you create a static singleton object which will be assigned to null, and in the get instance method you will check whether this singleton get instance is called for the first time. If it is called for the first time, then the object value will be null. Then you assign that one new singleton object you create and assign to object and return object. If it is not for the first time, you just return the object whenever it is called, whenever you call the get instance. Okay. For example, I will create another class. Why this is happening if I save? Something is bad. Okay, cool. So now we go back here. We cannot create the object. I'll just do this, or I will call singleton dot get instance. Okay. What? What's happening? It's behaving really very bad. Singleton dot get instance. Why is it not taking? We save this. We save this. Now created singleton. So let's run this. It's running properly. There is something with Visual Studio Code today. It is not saving properly. Okay. I'll just close this once and reopen it again. Sorry for this, guys. Did you get the point? Did you understand the implementation of singleton?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
See the madness of this. Never it had behaved like this earlier. Okay, cool. So now for another example, I will create one class, okay, which is called as sun, sun.java. How many sun are there? How many suns are there?
One.
There is only one sun for this Milky Way galaxy, right? So I have to create one sun object from wherever I use it. Okay, so how can I do that? Fast. Just tell me the code fast. What should be the first step? I should be able to create only one object from this sun class. So we will create a private constructor, right? Then we will create one private static variable of return data type sun object. Okay. Then we will create one get instance method, which should be a public static method, which should return sun and accept nothing. Okay. So while creating the object, it should check whether the object is null or not. So if obj is null, then you will create obj equal to new sun of and you return object. Okay, this is the implementation of singleton for the sun class, so that we restrict user to create object, and whenever user needs the sun object, he will provide the same object itself. Okay, so here I will give the toString or toString implementation. How to implement toString? How to implement toString? Public so it will become we cannot implement toString because I thought of implementing so that we can see the reference value, but we cannot implement because okay, let's see. We'll implement toString public string toString. Okay, just to check private string name, just hardcode sun one sun. Okay, then I will just return this dot name. Cool. So now I create a class called India. Okay. Why India? I created Bharat. Bharat.java. Okay. So from here, I would like to access the sun object. You see, sun equal to new sun of. Can we do this? No, we cannot do this. So you're seeing the compilation error. Okay. We will do sun.get instance of. Okay. I'll just do an SOP and tell accessing sun from Bharat. Okay. And I create another class called USA. USA.java. So even here I would like to access the sun class. Okay. Sun equal to sun.get instance, and I'll just print the same thing. Accessing sun from USA. Okay, and then I will print the sun object. Okay. Copy this and paste. Getting this error. I should write it inside main method. Okay, cool. So now I run this bharat.java and also the USA.java. Okay, I run this. So you are accessing sun from Bharat and it is one sun, and exactly we cannot test it like this. And from USA you access the sun, and that will be also the one sun. It creates one sun object per program execution. Clear? Or we can do this still. We'll go to Bharat and tell will not create main, will create one method called public. It will return sun, access sun. Okay, I will just do this. I'll remove this. So that will, what happened? Sun. Not do this. Do this. Accessing sun from USA. Okay, I'll just come here and create two objects. Bharat be equal to new Bharat and USA. Okay. Now I will print SOP B dot access sun and SOP USA dot access sun. Now I will run this. Just what shall I do? I'll just comment this up, then you will understand it properly. So now I run this test singleton. You see, accessing sun from Bharat. For the first time you are accessing that instance, so it was null. It will create the sun object and return the sun object. Then second time you are accessing sun from USA, it will not allow you to create a new object, but it returns the same object that is created. So this is the purpose of singleton. This is how you implement logger. You implement logger, and inside that logger you log the control flow, but there will be only one logger object for an entire application. Clear? This is how you can access one singleton object everywhere in your application. Any doubts? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So so this is the singleton implementation. You restrict the user to create objects by creating a private constructor. Then you have a private static variable. Then you have a get instance method. Inside that get instance method, you check whether an object is already created by doing null check on that object. If it is null, you create the object and assign it to that reference. Yeah, and return that object. If it is not null, you will just return that object as it is. So this is the brief out of the implementation of singleton design pattern. This is all you should know about one design pattern, which is the easiest design pattern among 25 or 24 important design pattern. There was one book by four brainy people, just design pattern. Not this. I think I'll just see. Okay. Is it this? Four, gang of four, something like that. Their name was gang of four. Yeah. So this is gang of four design pattern book. Okay, you can go through that book whenever you feel like to learn design pattern. It's a wonderful book with all necessary design pattern that you should know. GOF. Okay, cool. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. So please go through the gangs of four. Yes. So please go through the videos of MVC implementation. It's super important. You will learn how to design any project, any application, guys. As you learned steps to program, right? In the same way, you learn steps to design any application moving forward. It really helps. It helped me a lot when I was doing the course in Uttara itself. It helped me a lot. And when I did that project, immediately after few days, I got placed. And that doing that project helped me a lot. Okay, please go through those MVC flavors. It's really important. It gives you an idea how to design a whole application, and it helps you lifelong. Okay, please go through those videos. We'll recap that also in coming sessions. Okay, that's really important for whole lifetime if you want to become a software engineer. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Please go through the videos, utilize time, and you have to put effort. Then only you can achieve anything. Please go through those MVC videos. Any doubts, any questions, you can always put up in the group or for me privately. Okay? Cool. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next session.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.